Oh, I never saw it. I mean, I saw the little trailer online last night, but I didn't know the I just figured it's like the format of the Late Night show.
Well, yes, she's right.
There's something about some sort of game thing.
This one here.
It's like a shrimp thing, but like the winner gets the more of a set, but I don't think I want to go to that.
Okay. That was the easiest for you.
Yeah,
I
I
could
don't
do
want
that.
to.
We can use it here, ready to go.
I guess we're still.
Turn on some music for a second.
And I'll get up there and do the warm up. Okay. All right, let's put your hands together, everybody. Welcome to Late Night Cup of Joe. It's a very light crowd tonight. And I think one of the reasons is it's Thursday. Normally we do these on Fridays, and we're doing this on Thursday. We are live streaming this, by the way, on YouTube. Right now it's going on live to YouTube, so all billion users are tuning in right now. Conan O'Brien has 300,000 a night. We got 1 billion. Not just tuned in. They're not yet tuned in, but they're out there somewhere waiting for us. Good to see some of your faces. I recognize you from Joe's Saturdays class, right? What's your first name again? Scott. Scott. Good to see you, Scott. Drink down that beer. I can use a cocktail, by the way. Celebrate with these.
You can always use a cocktail.
What are you doing? Sound effects for me? What was that? Everybody do that together. Do me a favor. Let's test your applause. Let's test your applause right now. Put your hands together. Now let's do me a favor on the count of 3. I want everybody to give out a good laugh. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that again. Good, that's a good take. I'll be able to use those as sweet wine videos. Don't you wish you had that? You can just pipe them in. That's how they used to do that back in the day. You have the little microphones hanging from the ceilings. They still did. I used to warm up. I warmed up Murphy Brown. I warmed up Wings, the television shows, talking to the audiences, and we always had to test that sort of thing with the mics. So it also gets you warm. But believe it or not, the brain reacts the same way whether or not you laugh spontaneously or you force yourself to laugh. So I wish they did the same with orgasms. Don't you? Doesn't seem to work the same way. But what, you laugh during an orgasm? It makes my job so much easier when the audience brings their own material. That was nice. That's a laugh during an orgasm. I laugh after. Do you? Sometimes it's just so stimulating. I can't. What's that? It's been a long time since I was thinking about that. Since my wife decided to give it up to me, she's actually an airline pilot. I was talking to my therapist about it. We haven't sex in 3 years. She goes, "You just gotta talk her language." And I said, "Okay." She came home from work and I said, "How about some Sierra Echo X-ray?" She said, "November Oscar." Quickly got on the radio to ADC and flew the hell out of there. You would expect somebody would come home horny after spending weeks in a place called the cockpit. Wouldn't you? Or non-horny. Maybe that's the problem. So what good news is she just got hired at Alaska. So she was flying jets at Horizon. Now she's flying the 737 at Alaska. So that's bigger the jets and the bigger the cockpit, I guess. We reach her on the phone, "Hey, honey, how's your day?" At least the plane isn't going down. He's forgetting that, Damien. Damien again. How long have we known known each other 7 years? And I'm like, his name's Damon. I always call him Damien. I don't know why it rolls off my tongue that way. So what we have here, at any point, I could turn over my head and go backwards, and I'll spew like green pea soup, and he'll be in charge of that. He'll be like, because evidently that's how the devil talks, right? Every movie, it's like, really? How did we get that as the voice? Somebody did that once, you know. I don't know. I think the voice of the devil is sort of like, fabulous, terrific. I'm pretty sure that's the voice of the devil. I just lost half the crowd right there. Right? Wait, we're in LA, so maybe 28%. Half of that. Right? This is the class, ladies and gentlemen. We put together this class. I wrote for Jay Leno on the Tonight Show for 8 years, and when we were teaching this, I was first teaching a comedy class, joke writing, joke structure, stand-up. Was a stand-up for, now 30 years. You'd be on tour for like 40, 43 weeks out of every year. Very busy, always on the road. And then I got full custody of my oldest son. And when you get full custody and you're on the road all the time, that's like a record scratch. That stops. That ended. You know, you ever hear that pattern disrupt they use in commercials? They're like, dun, 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 dun. You gotta get the kids up for school. You get them dressed. You feed them some breakfast. You get them out the door in the car on the way, and you're getting ready to go to school, and suddenly, diarrhea. You know that we've all seen that commercial. Well, that's kind of how my career went. I was going, things were moving. I was getting gigs, getting more gigs. And my agent calls. He says, every time they put out your promo, the place sells out. It's happening. Jerry's starting to build. And this judge goes, you have your oldest son full custody. And I heard, diarrhea. But it turned out to be great diarrhea. Because my son graduated high school with honors. He gave a big, beautiful speech at his graduation. He was ranked 13th in the nation in debate. And now is in law school at George Mason. So I would have made that trade. If I knew that was happening, I would have, I'm done with the road. This is such a better trade. Now I have a 7-year-old to watch after. So I decided to, she's like so smart. She's like, she'll say the most brilliant things. I'm like, whose DNA does she have? Where the hell's my crayons? Because I don't talk that way. So I decided to teach. One of my friends said, what you should do is teach. I was teaching a writers forum over at the Friars Club with professional writers. And they said, you should teach this to the public. And I said, nah, that's a sellout. You know how you feel in your head sometimes. It's a step backwards if you go from performing to teaching. And then one of the guys set up a seminar to teach writing, comedy writing. He used to teach writing jokes. He said, no, I'm just going to do it. I said, fine, Tommy, you do it. And the night before, I get this phone call. And, hey, Jared, it's Tommy. I go, what's the matter, dude? He goes, I got strep or something, man. I can't teach that seminar tomorrow. Could you fill in for me? I said, sure, man. Give me the address. I went down there. It was like 50 people for taking like a $49 3-hour joke writing seminar that he set up. And I taught the seminar. An hour in, he walks in. He goes, how's it going, bro? I go, what happened to your voice? He goes, I knew you'd love this. And I loved it. They were writing jokes in the first hour. It was so much fun. So I said, let me try this out. So it started like a little rented space in North Hollywood. And now this is our space. And isn't it beautiful? Isn't it lovely space? And completely dedicated to stand-up. We're the only stand-up class in town that has its own space 24/7. It's dedicated just to us. So and the students come in during the day and they write and they practice and then when I started I met Joe and we did a late night class one day and said wow, it was so good, it was so much fun. And then we did a 6-week long class and afterwards we put on a show and I was like, man, you are such a good host. Right? You're a shitty comic, but a great No, he's also a terrific comic. But he's just so perfect as a host. except for tonight. I gotta lower the bar so he can come up here and feel strong. But he's just terrific. We just started doing this. We've fallen in love with it, so we're going to keep doing it. Probably do it on Fridays from now on. Make sure we have butts in the seats. Let's get the show on. Remember, we need your energy and we need your applause and laughter, even if the jokes aren't, which they are. Right? Remember, they're late night stuff. So coming up, and this is all written by students. Everything down here is all done by students. I don't touch it. I'll give suggestions, but I don't rewrite anybody's jokes. So you're just getting to see everybody's work at the culmination of a 10-week class, and 99% of them. And I think one person took it before, but I think it was Larry, right, Larry?
Yeah.
Oh, there you are back there. So Larry's taking it again. I'm like calling out there. I saw another bald guy out there, Larry. That's another one of our musical guests. So coming to the stage right now, why don't you put your hands together for Mr. Joe Dungan.
Thank you. My name is Joe Dungan, and I just got back from the country of great diarrhea. Let's get right to the news. Former Trump advisor Omarosa Manigault Newman, woman with a lot of names, said no African-American senior staffers have been employed at the White House since she left in January. Seems Trump has taken the term White House literally. Oh, Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani responded to Trump's recent comments about how flipping should be outlawed by saying the president is not a lawyer. And if you consider some of the stuff that Rudy Giuliani has been saying lately, apparently neither is he. Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is considering allowing states to use federal grant money to buy guns for schools. Yeah. You know, when I went to school, we were concerned about penmanship. Now you'll get graded in marksmanship. Teachers have gone from having an open door policy to an open carry policy. Diploma issued by Smith & Wesson. Apple has announced that their upcoming iOS 12 will show users exactly how much time is spent on their iPhone. They've named the feature Screen Time, which won out over their first choice, Oh Fuck, Where's My Life Gone? Additionally, iOS 12 will even send you intrusive alerts to let you know about overusage. These notifications could help, but I prefer the more traditional method of just getting off the toilet when my legs were numb. Oh, this is sad. A millennial couple was killed as they biked through ISIS-controlled territory in an attempt to prove that humans are kind. Wow, apparently even ISIS doesn't like bike lanes. Author and historian Peter Vronsky is predicting that there will be a new wave of serial killers by the year 2035. Yeah, hey, at least there's one industry where robots won't put people out of a job. First Lady Melania Trump helped plant a sapling from an Eisenhower-era tree at the White House recently, which replaced a tree that had to be I can't even read my own writing. Replaced a tree that had to be replaced earlier this year. She later confided that it was practice for replacing another sap in the White House. According to a report from the Public Interest Research Group, play school crayons were found to have trace amounts of asbestos. Yeah. The good news is your toddlers may learn how to spell mesothelioma. A man from India. Oh, wait.
That's a good joke.
A man from India with the record for the longest fingernails of a single hand finally got them clipped after growing them for 66 years and exceeding 350 inches. I guess they manicured him of that habit. That was the right response. The FDA recalled numerous blood pressure medications because they may cause cancer. Good news, we got your blood pressure down. Bad news, you start chemo on Tuesday. I'm kidding, we're not giving you chemo. Your insurance won't cover it. Oh, here's a tragic story. A honeymooning couple was seriously injured when they collided into each other while ziplining. Yeah. The husband apparently didn't hear the tourist below yelling, "Here comes the bride!" Recently, a Kentucky bourbon facility collapsed, sending 18,000 barrels crashing to the ground. Yeah, I know. Luckily, the folks there like their bourbon on the rocks. A 92-year-old Arizona woman said she killed her son because she didn't want to go to an assisted living facility. Yeah, she said she confessed to the murder. Since she confessed to the murder, it appears she will be going to an assisted living facility. A gated one for sure. A man from British Columbia was convicted of polygamy after the judge found out he had 24 wives and 149 kids. Wow. Yeah, that courtroom must have been packed. When they heard the verdict, some of them cheered, the rest needed their diapers changed. They're growing the poop jokes. We're in trouble. Brewdog Brewery in Ohio recently opened a doghouse beer hotel with each room featuring its own tap and built-in shower beer fridge. So after you drink a pint and eat some nuts, you can drink a pint and wash your nuts. Oh my God, and this one. In Charlotte, North Carolina, at a food, in Charlotte, North Carolina, I should just read the card. Yeah. In Charlotte, North Carolina, food at a potluck birthday party was contaminated by feces, sending 19 people to the hospital. Wow, that's a shitty party. And finally tonight, Aerosmith's original tour van was found in the woods in western Massachusetts. Isn't that something? Yeah, no word yet as to whether they also located Steven Tyler's original face. We got a great show tonight. He's coming up with Rich Sloan. We also have an amazing singing duo. This is a woman who found her birth father after 30 plus years, and he was homeless. And now they are a musical couple together. Cammie and Dawn, they'll be out there later. That's an amazing story. John, our DJ in residence, it's going fine, Barry. We didn't really chat much before the show.
No, we didn't. We were a lot of empanadas, but
We had empanadas.
not a lot of talking.
Yeah, it's a little bit aromatic in here.
Yeah.
Empanadas. I have a story for you. I want to tell you a short story so I can tell you another short story. Years ago, I was having dinner with a couple friends of mine, and we come out of the restaurant at like 10 o'clock at night, and a possum came running up to us, which is weird because possums do not run up to people.
Right.
Possums hide. This possum came running up to us, which kind of freaked me out. And I don't know what the hell's wrong with that. I don't know why it's doing this. And the next morning was the Northridge earthquake.
Oh.
Yeah, true story. That actually happened. So I was a little wigged out. So whenever antisocial animals come running up, now I'm a little wigged out. Fast forward to today. I'm not making this up. Today, this happened today. I'm at work. I have a day job, which should be obvious. I'm walking to my car. I'm going right to the front door of my car, to the door that you get it. Not the cars don't have a front door. I should have practiced. And I walk up to it, and a squirrel is coming at me, and he won't let me. I mean, he's worse than a stray dog looking for scraps. He's like coming at me, and he's got rabies, and he doesn't answer the Fido. I don't know what to do. So I'm yelling at him, "Go away! Go away!" And I finally had to get into my car from the passenger side. I was kind of wigged out, and it's a Prius, so there's like a big console, this useless crap that I could crawl over that to get in there. And I don't think we're gonna have an earthquake. I think the squirrel was warning me not to tell puns tonight. Sorry, everybody. When animals talk to you, listen. Anyway, that's what I got. Jerry, would you like me to tell another story that's total fiction?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what do you got? Hey, yeah, did you have a birthday recently?
I did. I turned 40 years old on Saturday.
Hey, those birthdays that end with a zero, I always want to send like a condolence card.
Yeah, the party was fun, but then when you realize what actually happened and why the party happened, it's just kind of like, yeah, that's great.
Are you like me? You always think I should have been further along by now in life?
Yeah, I mean, the past 72 hours have been very reflective. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Yes.
I'm glad you didn't do anything drastic
No.
at the party. How did you get loaded?
I did not get loaded. I had the most mature birthday party for a 40-year-old you're ever going to see.
Wow.
It was at I bought out an arcade in Chatsworth. We played video games for 2 hours. Had a Ghostbuster cake that my wife made. And that was it. It was very mature and very awesome.
Did the party continue at home?
Awesome. I don't remember. It's the 40-something thing.
I think, all right, okay. All right, what are we doing now? I think, where's my agenda? I got an agenda here somewhere. Hang on a second. No, my improv cue cards. Hang on. It's around here somewhere. So we say I got it here. It's the, we're doing the emails?
Out of office emails.
Yeah, we, here at Late Night T.V, we're always trying to hustle up good guests for the 20 of you who bother to show up every time. And we always send out emails to people, and sometimes we get out of office emails from people. They can't make it. They have these auto replies. The auto responders, very polite. And we've collected the best of them. So here now are a few of the out of office emails we've collected in recent weeks. This first one is very subtle. There we go. Now we're rolling. Hello, this is the House Ethics Committee. We're on a bit of a hiatus. If you have thoughts or concerns about the ethics of our political system, you'll just have to keep them to yourself until somebody with ethics is put in charge. They won't be on the show. They refused. This one, I will return after lunch. I went shopping at Ross. They're advertising young men's pants half off from Kevin Spacey. He won't be on the show. I'm currently performing an unannounced 15-minute comedy set at the Comedy Cellar in New York. Wish me luck. This is going to be a handful. For booking, please call me soon. Really, sincerely sorry, Louis C.K. Why are you groaning? He's sorry. Oh, we got this one also. Sorry to have missed your email. I'm currently out of the office on official duty to play royalty and eat the prince's dumplings. This is from Meghan Markle, so. Busy eating the prince's dumplings. This is from Paris Hilton. I'm not in the office right now. Wait, I don't believe you're working. Why is she giving me an auto reply? She doesn't believe you're working. And then this, is that all of them?
That's it.
Okay, that's the last one for Paris Hilton. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of musical interludes now. There are, as you know, different ways of interpreting the news. Cable news is filled with people who talk about the news incessantly. However, there are other ways of explaining what's going on in the world, along with an interpretive slant. Here now, to explain the entire Manafort deal for you, is Late Night T.V.'s very own Max Ziegfeld.
Trump fever. You never know how much I hate him. Can't they put him on the stand? They could get him for collusion. Bye-bye to Ivanka Trump's brand. She gives me fever. For obstruction. Fever for a bright orange jumpsuit. Fever! Come on, Mueller. You know where there's hidden the loot. Tweets light up with the daytime. Woo! Tweets light up the night. I light up when you tweet my name. Oh, grab my pretty kitty just right. Give me fever. When you tweet me, fever when you give me a pet. Fever! when you grab me and let me treat you all night, all you can get. Oh, you got Russia calling. Line 3 for POTUS. Donald Trump loved Vladimir Putin. Vladimir said, I'll go gay. Now listen to what I tell you, or the world will see your P.A. You give me fever. With your kisses, fever for your KGB hacks. Fever. Bloody kisses, fever for alternative facts. Well, now it's time for the ladies. They're going to have their say. We're giving Stormy Daniels. Donald fell for Stormy Daniels. Oh, she blew him hard, you can bet. They screwed like 2 Cocker Spaniels. 130K is all that she'll get. She gets fever. But she'll be suing. He can find a new penthouse pet. Fever. Trouble's brewing. Avenatti says, get. Thank you all.
And now I am going to stare at the curtain until the cue cards are up. There we go, great, thanks. The latest polls from the Pew Institute suggest only 2% of millennials actually read the news, but a good 65% of them are familiar with the rap musical Hamilton, which is a rap musical about American history. So to help millennials better connect with the news of the day, we have invited rapper MC Kelly, a Hamilton-style rapper, to help reconnect millennials with the written word. The first rap is about Paul Manafort being in the news. He was not wearing his prison-issued white socks.
Busted MC, very sick. All right, I need your hands up. Throw your hands up. Throw your hands up. Now, just wave them up in the air. Now wave them like you just don't care. And if you believe that Trump is a Trump, scream it out and say, oh yeah. A little louder. Oh yeah. Now, Paul won't wear his prison sock on pepper feet. It's unorthodox. Can't wear Argyle compressions. My bad. Here we go. Can't wear 2 Argyle or compression. Kevin Corley thing might cause depression. It's all right. Keep going, y'all. Keep going. Keep your hands up. If you're tired, don't worry about it. His arrogant smile, his poor taste and style won't do him good when he walks the green mile. No help from Trump. He's in the slump. That's the price you pay when you support that chump. In federal court, Paul pleads his case without a single loose shoelace. If anything, I can say that this case was black, but I thought to myself, man, what if he was black? Joe, where you at? Give me another rap. Let's go. Get back.
Oh, but there's more. Also in the news,
Remind the audience that they're all students.
they're all students.
Yeah, the two that just did that were students to fill in the blanks.
Those are students, ladies and gentlemen. They've never done this before.
Last minute fill-ins.
What?
Last minute fill-ins.
They're last minute fill-ins. We have something far less funny planned. And then I said, not good enough. For this crowd, let's make it better. Another item in the news, as you know, at the border, immigrant children are being ripped away from their parents and being detained.
No law or order at the border. Families ripped apart. Breaking our hearts. Kids torn away. Parents can't stay. That's what's up in the USA. You can put them up again. Come on. You make America great. Who the hell are y'all kids on the backs of immigrants and slaves? It was rich, kicked them out, brought them over, and kept them down. Now because the skin was brown. I know what he's doing. All right. My next concert. Front row. Here we go. You can build the wall and build the tall, we gonna tear it down. Don't need to worry, because we'll find another way around. That's it. Drop the mic. Oh.
And finally, from the, we were going to do this in opera style. I said, no, not good enough. We're not going to opera the news, damn it. And finally, I don't know if you know this. This is the 20-year anniversary of Viagra. What do you get for the 20th anniversary? I don't know, in this case, it might be wood. Hey-oh! The line for refunds forms over here. 20 years later, Viagra means something different for millennials.
Viagra, the little blue pill, given a hand to millennials. Anxiety, not that good, especially when you're trying to get wood. If erectile dysfunction makes you blue, ask your doctor if it's right for you.
Kelly Swanson and Michael Heinz. Are we refilling drinks? Are we refilling drinks? Or are we gonna...
Yeah, now's a good time to refill drinks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the most important part of the show. There's no wine at the bar. By all means, run. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I only was saying on the afternoon, it's not business, it's just fun stuff. Oh, dear.
Did you get a beverage? Whoops. I'm so glad that had a cap on it.
I know I had read it before, it
You done? Can I take this away for you?
I did go funny. I've been here at being from this large, and we'll see where we land.
You're trying to keep her out of content.
Right.
You're teenage years trying to keep her out of content.
I know you're busy, but cheers!
Cheers.
Yay! Good to see ya!
Good to see you.
It's like, oh, I gotta come out and play.
Has your husband come up with his theme song yet?
He's out on the road, so he's out there for a
Right.
week. So when he comes back, he's like, you know what? I said, let's just work on it when you get back. We'll do what we can, and as it wheels in, we'll see what happens. He's like, you haven't been out on the road in a year. Now you're going. Oh, and by the way, bye. So I will watch the next late night class. So I'll watch it.
Excellent.
Oh my god, I love it
Right?
so
Isn't it?
much. I am in love with it. And it's fun.
Yeah.
And the last two shows I did, it's just like, own it.
Right.
Got it. Like,
Right.
oh, there's a headliner, but I own this show.
Look at you. Yeah.
So it's great
I mean,
fun.
you've been doing this short period of time after owning it, so
Yeah.
that's so good. And now it's I love writing it, putting it all
The
together.
great thing though is just this is a stereo.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it.
So
It's taking those current events and making them palatable, making them mixed enough so they work, it's still palatable and enjoyable. It's just, and in putting it all together, it's such a always up to the wire with stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we had a couple of desk pieces that didn't make it into the. We just didn't have the time to get them in. So it's a matter of,
Fabulous.
you know, if you're on board, next one we'll have you be a writer producer, because since you've done it before, that's where Larry is right now. Larry Lyman.
Perfect. Yes.
See how much they're helping out. You know?
Yes.
What's that? 1 more minute. 2 more minutes.
Yes.
Not bad. Yeah, just we've got a couple minutes. Want to borrow? Wait. Okay, so and then put that mic back up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I'll sign up, but if I keep a list of all the desk pieces and the show basket bits and stuff, I'm coming on.
They don't have the prize here, that's what I've heard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting in just a couple moments. So if everyone can kind of head back to their seats with Tootsie Rolls or pepperoni, and no.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming down.
Lime green color is solid.
You want to just leave it right there? If you don't feel like you
That's the thing. I
give
came here.
the signal, I will lock your mouth a little bit. But we pick you up.
No, I think.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. For those of you watching this delayed on YouTube, we just took a 3-hour break. Everybody got really drunk. And Jerry snorted cocaine. Our first guest tonight is an esports broadcaster for the Clash Royale League. 27 million people tried out to be part of the Clash Royale League. Let's take a look at this real quick. Or not so quick.
Will happen in 1 moment. Computer's slow. I think the internet went out for a second.
Oh, wait a minute. Another out of office email.
Michael Jackson, he was interested in the half off.
And a special thanks to Will Smith for laying down the beats.
Actually, it was.
Please welcome Rich Slayton, everybody. Wow. First things first, you got a kid.
Yeah, I had a kid.
Rich and his wife is their first kid.
We're even trying to stop playing defense. So, turns out that works too. So good for you.
It's good to know. Stop playing defense. I will keep that in mind. What else can you tell me about this child?
Well, when you have a kid, Joe, you have to do a whole bunch of decisions.
Like?
Now, like do I circumcise the kid?
Yeah.
As a Jew, do I circumcise the kid?
Sure.
Of course. Of course I circumcise my kid. That's my baby girl, Joe. I have to. No, we're having a boy. We're having a boy, and I cut that thing for sure because I'm not gonna send him out home with that kind of handicap.
No.
Have you ever seen an uncut one before?
No, Jerry, can we put that up here?
It looks like you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, but you have no hand. That's is that too much for you guys?
Now I know how you got the esports job.
Yeah, there you go.
So a little about your background, because the whole world of esports is fascinating to me. You started, you were an MMA commentator?
I started in the mixed martial arts business. Yeah.
Okay, and then how do you start as a commentator doing that?
Well, I started as a comedian. I was doing mixed martial arts material on stage in 2008 when no one knew what it was. So I started a Twitter account called an MMA Comic, and that got me a job as a writer. It got me a job covering the local scene here. I couldn't type fast enough when I watched fights, so I called them to my recording.
Okay.
And one time a company said, "Oh, we need a guy, and you talk well." So
sometimes that's all it takes. 90% of it is showing up and talking well. Far out. So you had that under your belt, and then the Clash Royale League needed an announcer, and come to the grapevine, you heard about this position opening up.
So a lot of things in the Clash Royale League have been done kind of open for the people. This was an open casting call. A few thousand people applied.
Wow.
And one of my friends sent me the link. He said, "Hey, they're looking for a comedian who has broadcast experience who plays the game." And I've had no life for years, so I'm really good at it. There you go.
And now you have a kid, so you really have.
Yeah, oh, not at all. I'm exhausted. I don't know why I'm here.
I'm amazed that you're here.
Yeah.
Now, where do you actually physically go to broadcast these games?
Glamorous Canoga Park.
Like, and now is there an actual studio?
Oh yeah, the studio. There's about a 40-person crew. So right now we're filming 2 different leagues: the European region and the North American region, 8 teams each, about 4 to 5 players per team, and they're all competing for a shot at the World Finals. It'll be this December.
Wow, far out. So now with this studio in Canoga Park, is it literally just you and all the technicians, or are there people actually physically there playing the games?
Oh, the players are there. I see them. They can hear me broadcasting sometimes, so if they like what I do, they give me a thumbs up, and sometimes they don't want to look at my face. So.
That's it's interesting. I think about that, and I compare that to other sports because I can't imagine, someone like Shaquille O'Neal or somebody, or like imagine
it happens all the time.
Imagine LeBron James in the middle of a game. The broadcaster says something in the middle of a dunk. He turns around, he's like, "That was cool, thanks," and he just keeps running his play.
I've had fighters in the mixed martial arts business as a commentator. I was so close that I had to wear dark, cheap suits because I get blood on them sometimes. And
oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the good part. So every once in a while, though, a fighter would be pressed up against the cage, and they would hear my commentary, and they would sometimes either yell at me for what I was saying, or they would go, "Oh, you like that? Well, watch this," and then
wow,
yeah,
that's interesting.
And our first fighter, I was the U of MMA, is who I worked for, the University of Mixed Martial Arts, and our first fighter in the UFC, Dominic Reyes, is competing at UFC 229, the same card as Conor McGregor. So making his pay-per-view debut, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, very exciting.
Wow, that's fascinating. We're kind of getting off topic.
Sure.
No, I don't care. But what's interesting is how the commentator can actually affect what's going on.
Sure. I mean, there's something they say. 2 terms in video games are nerf and buff. Nerf means you made something weak, like a Nerf gun, and buff means you made it strong. All right. So some people say that there's what they call a crowd nerf or a crowd buff. Do you get better or worse? Because these gamers, a lot of them are used to playing at home by themselves, and now there's 45 people around. There's cameras in their face. There's someone touching up their makeup before they have to go use their thumbs.
And so, what kind of effect does this have on them? They rise to the occasion, or they panic?
Some of them do, and some of them don't, and that's a big part of the psychology. And there's $1 million prize pool for this tournament for the Clash Royale League. There were 27 million people in the game tried out to be a part of this. And only 80 beat the original 20-win challenge that you saw there in the video. And of those, or only 80,000, of those 80,000 got whittled down to just a few teams all across the world.
How do they form the teams? Is it just physically where they live? You're in this.
No, this is a cutthroat money business.
So money is permeated. It's like other pro sports. You don't have to live in Los Angeles to play for the Dodgers. You could be from Cleveland and play for the Dodgers. Just like this league, you don't have to be in Europe to be part of a certain European team.
No, not at all. For example, a European team, Team Liquid, which is one of the best in the world. They have a guy named Surgical Goblin, who's from the Netherlands, who's one of the best. But they also have Diego B, who's an American, who's been partnered with him a whole bunch. And but it's because they have the money; they can pay for the best players.
So it's like real sports franchises. You have GMs with money, and are there drafts? Are there waivers and things?
No. It's all there are Yankees and there are A's. So you're either playing Moneyball or you have the money.
Wow, yeah. And now, how long before statistical analysis takes over? You say, well, let's get this player together. Like Moneyball.
Oh, it's already happened along. You're way behind.
I'm way behind. No, I'm woefully behind.
Oh yeah, there's. I can tell you that like the Valkyrie, which is a very popular card, in our first 2 weeks saw a 50% use rate, and since it was recently nerfed, it had a speed of attack reduced just by a 0.2 seconds. It has now dropped to about a 2% use rate, and that's because someone did this.
I'm a smart person and I don't know what you just said.
I barely do, and that's why they make it.
That's fantastic. No, we're kind of going backwards here, but just a little background. When did people start watching other people play video games?
When did Pong get invented? Video game. It's a game.
Were there Pong competitions back in the 70s?
The big competitions that really I think blew it up originally were Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man actually even bigger than Pac-Man.
The upright,
the old school in the box in an arcade. There were some of the biggest Pac-Man tournaments in the world for cash prizes. Kind of started off the original esports, and it's just grown and grown from there.
And then I would guess now that you can stream on the internet, it's really blown up.
Oh yeah, with Twitch, which I think you guys will be on fairly soon.
Twitch is explain to us what Twitch is.
It's a streaming platform specifically designed for video games, and so you'll see gamers. Well, part of why it's made games gotten so popular as of late is because you don't just see the play, you see the player. And so you have guys like, I'm wearing a Fortnite shirt. I have 60 wins, Tilted Towers. I drop it all the time. That's nothing to most of you in this room. So one guy in the back, his girlfriend hates him for that. Okay, good. So Ninja, there's a guy named Ninja who's the best, one of the best players in this game in the world. He's a big time streamer, YouTube guy. And last I checked, he was making, this was about 6 months ago, he was making about $2 million a month playing and streaming video games.
Hope for millennials.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
That is like LeBron money.
Oh yeah, no, he's like
that's crazy.
LeBron asked him for a check recently. So.
That's fantastic. And if people want to tune in and watch, or actually go and watch in person,
go to YouTube, put in Clash Royale League, the Clash Royale esports page. We have 6 broadcasts a week. You can go and see the North American region every 3 days a week, and the EU region. And if you want, these are serious competitors really going off, and it's some of the most exciting stuff I've been a part of.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for coming out, man. Rich
Thank
Slade,
you.
everybody.
No.
No, we're just moving along.
That's right. We're moving along.
Okay, now that I've slaughtered the momentum, we will continue. All right, our final guest tonight, this is really an amazing story. This is a woman who is a singer-songwriter. She was adopted when she was very young, and she found her biological father about 2 years ago. He was homeless, and they have reunited, and he's also a musician, and they have reunited through music. I'm really looking forward to this. This is a real treat. Please welcome Cammie and Dawn. We're good. I hope this can pick up everybody. I think we're good.
It works.
It works. Good. Nice to meet you both. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. This is a friend of mine, a friend of ours, told me about you just a week ago and said, "Oh, well, I gotta have them on. This is fantastic." Now the story is kind of an involved story, so I don't want to. Let's just go right into it. You were 4 years old. You've been living in foster homes, and then you got adopted by a wonderful, loving family. And what happened then?
And then I grew up.
And then you grew up.
Sweet talkers. And then I didn't grow up.
I don't think you need it that close. That close?
But they can share it.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you, let's take it out.
I always wanted to be a comedian.
But the live streamers are not live streaming now.
No, I did. I always wanted to be a comedian, but before I got to quit my job, I always get fired. So,
Why don't, let's pop that out of the, take that out of the
always ask
heavy.
me to do all these things, pop it out.
So you're growing up locally, I take it, in this family that adopted you?
Woodland Hills.
Woodland Hills, okay, and you were old enough to understand that you've been adopted at a very young age. You understood that. And you also were very artistically inclined. You played music.
Artistic, autistic. Yes, I was fine.
When did you start playing guitar? How old were you?
Actually, I started playing piano first.
Mhm.
And I was in a foster home, and they brought me to a piano, and I was very lucky to be adopted into a family that had a piano. I think that was totally just luck, because I don't know what would have happened if I had been adopted into a family that didn't have a piano. So my adopted parents noticed right away that there I was always at the piano. So they got this big box. My feet could play the pedals to the box because I was too short. And they put me in lessons. And then later my mom said, hey, you can't carry a piano on your back. You should learn something to travel a little. So she got me into guitar. It wasn't even my idea, but it wasn't too hard to play music, which I thought was a little weird because none of my adopted family were musicians. They didn't listen really to music very much. So it was just kind of out of nowhere.
Mm. Now, so you're playing music all throughout your youth, and then you decide you went to New York to become a musician, right?
Actually, a lot of people think that. No, I wanted to go to New York. My hope was to go to New York. I was planning on going to New York for music and for theater and whatever else. And then my adopted father got sick. So I couldn't leave California because it wasn't very clear how long he had while I was in high school. He was sick with cancer. So, so then Kenny Burrell at UCLA, I went to an audition there. Actually, I almost went in and out instead. I didn't really even think that there was going to be a possibility to go to college, let alone UCLA, let alone be a music person there. It was a classical department, it was a classical audition, and I only knew jazz through my high school teacher. So I actually, somebody left the audition while I was singing. I thought, well, if I'd known this was a classical audition, I would have learned an aria or something. But they offered me a scholarship anyway, because what I didn't know was that they were planning a jazz program and they were looking for people. So go to the wrong audition and maybe you'll get hired.
And then you went all in on music from then on. Because I know you now make a living with music. You've had songs licensed.
Make a living.
Yeah, you do.
Does that happen?
Well, you've had songs licensed on television.
Yeah, sort of, yes. I live in music.
That's fantastic, because that's rare. There's like 8 people in all of Los Angeles who make a living in the arts.
I know how to take $1,000
Take a
and
picture.
keep it going and turn it back into $1,000.
So now your entire adult life, you knew you were adopted, and you've always wondered about your biological parents. At what point did you say to yourself, okay, I need to end this mystery? Who were these people? How did that come about?
I was like, either I'm going to get in prison for doing something wrong, or I'm going to get married, which is the same thing, right? So I should really find who my birth father is, if he's alive, and figure out where where it's all coming from.
Did I read correctly? You hired a private investigator?
Well, I actually sort of. I think it was the hired part. It wasn't really any fiscal exchange, and it wasn't those kinds either. A close friend had a private investigator in their family, and I just was ready. It was just one of those things. I really did want to look for a husband or something like that, somebody to play that position, right? And so I thought, well, I should really know the missing link. I knew my birth mother's history. She had passed away before I met her. I knew the whole bit of the story. I knew Dawn's story as much as I could through a bunch of different legal court cases that were tied to different periods of their life and my life connected, even though I never met them and I didn't know a face to the name and I didn't know he was a musician or that. I did know his history, his connection to my birth mother, a bit of the story there, his lifestyle choices. I knew enough. And I didn't know if he was living, and so the private investigator took his name from the court cases and somehow miraculously, because he's from Philadelphia, figured it all out and got an address where Dawn would get mail. And at that time, I didn't know if he was in prison, which is where he was most of the time, or if he was homeless, which is where he would be otherwise, or if he was around and about the place where he would be getting his mail, which could have been the case, or what, I didn't know. So,
So eventually you got the, I believe if I read correctly, the address of your uncle, your birth uncle?
well, no, it's a little more convoluted than that, so to shorten it, it's so hard for me, do they keep records for
But there was a house you went to.
So if we call it a dwelling, because if you say a house, I think we'll all have this picture in our mind. So if I say dwelling, it's sort of a different picture, and then you can kind of paint it yourself. Dark, drapery, lots of things inside to have to walk through to get through. Very difficult to get through. Probably over 10 to 12 people living there at one time or another. There would be a garage there. Let's say that was the office or the company or where they would manufacture things and sell things and exchange things and do all things that one might end up in prison for. So it was a dwelling, and the dwelling had a mailbox, and a lot of people could get their address, their mail, and an address there. Let's just draw it that way. So when I arrived there, well, the first thing I did was I actually would drive by, kind of like a stalker, to see
Well, sure. I
who
mean,
was around.
It's a huge deal.
Right. So I was just sort of checking it out, and then I got a little bit of I processed the coordinates, and then I started to research the gang members and the crime, the drugs, and sort of the history of what was going on in different corners. So I sort of knew, CSI Miami, like you can't be on the show, you might be pretend. So that was kind of what I did. And then I got a backpack. This is kind of interesting. So I knew a little bit about drug use, not because I did it, but because I used to work downtown LA as a volunteer for women homeless, downtown women's center. I also wrote a program for men incarcerated in the prison system in terms of how to assimilate back in when they release. So I was already doing things like that. So I got this backpack that was an epileptic backpack, figuring that most drug users would recognize it because if they use needles, they probably know a lot about it. And I thought that if I went in without anything, just dressed down with this epileptic backpack and whatever, that maybe it would lessen the chances of somebody really wanting to commit a crime around me, because that would be like a double felony. So I just would think of all these crazy things. And one day I just went in, and the first thing I saw was a man sweeping outside. And I thought, well, that's interesting. How much of a criminal could he be if he's sweeping and cleaning? I'm like, well, this is interesting. So I approached him and I just said, are you Don? And he was like, no, Don's not here. And I was like, okay. And then I was like thinking out loud, and I was like, oh, so then you must be Jimmy, because I was thinking of the court papers that I had. And then he was like, who wants to know? And I said, oh shoot, I didn't even prepare this man. Like, what if he doesn't? There's a lot of adopted people who connect with their birth parents or birth family. They're not really wanted. It's possible that there isn't a mutual interest.
And all of this is racing through your head as you're talking to this.
There's like 3 heads in there.
Sure.
They all do the thing. I don't know, right, left brain.
So
but
then he tells you.
So then he says no. Then I said, well, he's like, who wants to know? And I said, well, and then I thought, oh, I should really ask. And so I said, well, do you think that Dawn would be okay with meeting a family member? I didn't really know how to present that. And then Jimmy said, well, we already know all of our family, and he turned to me, and then he just looked at me. And then I was like, oh my God, this is my uncle. And I could just see like every moment of my craziness, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean like my whoa, like you saw, just mirror. Because I grew up with family that I didn't look like. Actually polar opposites. The best thing they ever did for me was show me the other side of anything. Like, it was so opposite that all of a sudden I'm looking straight at my uncle who's alive and look alike kind of, and like I'm just like, whoa, and he's like, are you Mary Lou's kid? You're Mary Lou's kid. You're Dawn's daughter. And then all of a sudden, like everything changed. So then all of a sudden I was allowed into the man cave. And then I went in and then spent 2 days there waiting for Dawn. I mean, I went twice, stayed 8 hours, took a journal, wrote everything down, and thought that story.
Did they not know where Dawn was?
Well, they would know, yes. So Dawn had a routine. See, okay. Dawn most of the time would be in prison for drug use or drug experiences, or we'll let you talk about that soon. He's, by the way, you're okay that I'm telling them all this, or should I start lying now? If I do, yeah. Should I lie now? No, okay. He's always like, she talks too much. I'm allowed 2 more seconds. Okay, that's why they have me here. I swear, it's not really for the singing. But no, so he told me a bunch of stuff. What did you ask? money, and he was really good at cards, and he would go to a casino, and instead of being homeless where you put up a tent anywhere and blah, 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 no. Don would find, like at the end of a freeway pass, there might be a lot of big bushes. He would dig himself inside of a bush, take the bush inside out, and put a tent in there so you couldn't really see because he didn't want to be bothered. Then he would go to these casinos and gamble his welfare money, make more money, get drugs, and just do his drugs and have a good time. And he'd borrow electricity from gas stations. He just figured out how to do it.
We're borrowing electricity right now.
We're borrowing right now.
That's how we save money.
That's right.
So when did he finally show up?
Third day is the charm.
Okay, so you show up that morning, I guess, to.
That's right. Well, so the second time I showed up, I waited forever, and I got to read a note that Don had written to his family once while he was in prison, because at the point that the second day I was there, Jimmy was staying with me all day, showing me that Jimmy was a musician, that Don was a musician. I got pictures to see, and then this letter came out. I saw it, and I thought, you know what? There was something there in the writing that made me see a human being in such depth. And I just was so excited because, I don't know, I just wanted to see the human being. You know, everyone has these thoughts, oh, a drug addict, a criminal, or a stealer, or whatever. And he's not he's not a rapist, right? He hasn't murdered anybody. No, I'm serious. You know, I mean, people write movies funny, we try to be funny. But no, so there's a line, there's a line that you have to really learn about and think about as you're processing. What kind of relationship do I want to build? What kind of door do I want to open? Is this a window? Like, I don't know.
So what happened the day he was there?
So the day
You
he
were
was
led
there.
to where he was.
So one particular day, there's an alleyway connected to the dwelling that was his preferred space because it was outdoors. For him, outdoors and being homeless is free. It's a freedom type of thing. It's not the same as how we would see it. That's why I mentioned the other things. Anything that we might think and see and project our own ideas, Don has his own, and they're beautiful. They're incredibly unique and beautiful. There was nothing wrong with his life. There was nothing that he wasn't proud of, that he wasn't excited to be doing. All of the things that we have, he never even had them, saw them, knew them. So there was nothing. He's happy and proud. He's actually borrowing time to check out this life. It's a completely different thing. So I was walked out to this little alley, and I was sat in a crate, and then there he was.
Yeah, he was just there.
He's there, high, a little drunk, getting up, looking for his.
And then what, Dawn, can you repeat what you said the first time you saw her?
How y'all doing? My name is Don Watson.
And you saw her and you said what?
Yeah, I said you're an extremely beautiful woman. That's it. But it
In
might
his
help.
language.
If I had exactly 2 seconds to speak, which I probably don't. It would probably help if you gave him a little bit of a particular part of the story. I'll do it myself.
Go for it.
It doesn't work.
It works. No, we can hear you.
Because the internet, because we're on the internet.
Okay, I see. All right, well, listen, this is my daughter, all right? Here's how this came about. This may sound slightly crazy, but this is actually what happened. In 1978, my father's girlfriend was Mary Lou Morantz because my father was separated from my mom and had a girlfriend on the side. You got that part understood? Well, this is my father's girlfriend. Well, I'm his son, and I got hidden permission. I can make out with this lady if I feel like it. I didn't have. Hey, I was only 17, and I was like out with her whenever I wanted to, and it was totally cool.
Well, practice makes
Right. So come September of 78, Cammy is born behind what I did in January of 78 with Mary Lou. And that's how that, so she's my daughter and she's Mary Lou's daughter, where she was raised by the Alberts, a totally different family than from the time she was 4 years old on up. I didn't have anything to do with with her being raised at all. I didn't know she played music or anything about her life whatsoever. As it is, I'll just quickly tell you this. That's because I am a person in the penitentiary. Point. That's the kind of a person that I was all my life. I used to be a drug addict and get busted and go do time and get out and be a drug addict and get busted and go in. All the while I was doing all of this, though, I was a musician. I was playing in the bands in the penitentiary and then get out and start playing in the bands on the street and all that. And then in the year 2016, I opened my eyes and my daughter is staring at me. And I never saw her all the way from 1979 and 1980 all the way until 2016. I never even knew her, never saw her or nothing.
Wow.
And then she, through the private investigator, she found me, and I woke up one morning on this, because look, I sleep outdoors on purpose, that is. I like building tents in the bushes and all that, rather than have a big $1 million house in Beverly Hills. I don't know why, but that's just how I am. I just like outdoors. So I was sleeping outdoors, and then early in the morning, I opened my eyes, and there she is, my own daughter, of whom I've been waiting for over 30-something years for a day like this to happen, and it finally did. So, being that she's a straight-laced lady, or at least pretty close to it, and a couple of little odds and ends on the side, my young was and all that, but here's what I did. I made a deal with her. I said, listen, I'm gonna, at least smoke a little grass from time to time. I'll put the heroin, cocaine, and the meth, all that. I'm gonna put that out in exchange to have an opportunity to get to know you. Real big. For 2 years, and hey, man, it's cool. I got it right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Can you play a song for us?
Sure.
Let's set up Now we have to set up a little bit of furniture going on here. And by the way, you have a CD. There are CDs for sale. Jenny Albert and Don Watson. It looks like this. We have
Hold it up there, Joe.
Hold it up
for a moment.
Are we getting a reflection?
Perfect, right there.
Is it making my butt look big?
Jenny Albert, and say it again.
Jenny Albert and Don Logsden. Am I saying that right? Logsden.
Yeah.
Do they have some for sale after?
Yes, they have some for sale after. There is a box of CDs here.
I would like to buy one.
They are modestly priced, I'm sure. So, fairly priced. Quality entertainment at a fair price. I'm going to put this back. I'm going to, does the roadie need any help?
No, she's all
No show business gig is worth that price. Hey, I'm going to stand here awkwardly for a moment while we set this up. I think we're close here.
Not as awkward as me.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the one that gave her the name Cammy in 1978. And then in 2016, when I met her name was Jennifer Albert, due to the fact that she was adopted. That's what happened. That's why that she goes by the name Cammy and with Cammy and Don, because we teamed up. And that's actually the name that I gave her in reality.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's not really like a stage name kind of a trick or anything. It really is her name. That's what I named her. It's Cammy.
This on, and we're ready.
Okay.
All right, we're set. You want to read sound check? We all good on this?
Check. See, now I got jobs for all my personalities. It's great.
Is the do we have sound on the guitars? Now we're checking here.
Oh, that was you. That was your.
Cammy, is this for you? Okay.
Check.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
So we're good?
Cammy, how's the guitar?
Sounds good to me.
We're tweaking one last thing. We're finishing the drinks. Ladies and gentlemen, Cammy and Don.
This first song is called One of These Days. Want you to feel wanted all the time. Show you good loving to know you're mine. One of these days, and it won't be long, all of these shadows will be of these days, and it won't be long. My love won't be hidden in a love song. Don't you cry for me. No, not what I do. Don't you lie for me. I will lie for you. You pick me up as I swallow my pride. Teach me to love when love abides. One of these days, and it won't be long. All of these feelings, they won't be wrong. Say, don't you cry for me. No, not what I do. Don't you lie for me. I will lie for you. Don't you cry for me. No, not what I do. Don't you lie for me. Cause one of these days, and it won't be long, all of these shadows, they'll be gone. So one of these days, and it won't be long, my love won't be hidden in a love song.
Thank you all for coming. Thanks to Jerry for doing like everything. Thanks for the audience for everything. You're pointing at them. You're pointing at my.
I want to hear them sing again.
Oh, we'll get to that. I just want to thank the writers. Thank
Yes.
Clayton for coming out and tell us about the world of Peace Corps.
Yes. Yeah, come on in.
Boston, Canada?
Yep,
Sure.
Canada.
Terrific. Who else who am I forgetting? Thanks to Phyllis for getting us all loaded, huh? Right. And before her, Jerry for setting up. Yes. All of you for coming out. Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Jerry. Jerry.
Barry?
Jerry again.
And how about Joe Dungan?
We have to leave. No, we don't have to leave. One more again?
Yes.
have some CDs if you want. They're just donation, whatever. Anything above $5, you get a sandwich. This song is called Until Then. A filmmaker found us a couple months after we reunited, and she made a short documentary called Homeless Soundtrack that was at the Lemley this week for a little undercover LA debut for a future thing they're working on. And this is one of those songs for that film. So maybe you'll come across it sometime.
I've been waiting for love all my life to meet the one. Yes, I know it won't be long till then I'm on my own. Life's so sweet, so warm, honesty in all your charm. Yes, I know it won't be long until then I'm on my own. So many times I've been sad and believe so wrong about so many of you. Love is kind and not untrue. Find a way right here till the love in you. I open my soul. So when I find you, I'll be sure. Yes, I know it won't be long until then I'm on my own. So many times said I've been sad and blue, so wrong about so many. Love is kind and not untrue. Find a way right here till the love is you. I've been waiting inside the all my life to meet the one. Yes, I know it won't be long until then I'm on my
Homeless, the soundtrack, is that correct? It was at the Tribeca Film Festival. It is at the Lemley, where? Which was it, Lemley?
It was at the Lemley Royale.
It was at the Lemley Royale, so if you go back in time, there's the whole thing. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Cam and Don.
Special guest, they look alike, and your dad, he looks fly.
Hey guys, here's the trailer for their movie.
I didn't know that he was a musician. I think my relationship to music just comes out of nowhere.
I'm trying to use the music part of it to get myself where I once was.
The next option is a sober living home.
Do you know that I know what you're telling me better than anyone in the world?
People think that I just don't care. They don't know what's going on in here.
I never had nobody do nothing like that for me before. Maybe someday I'll pay you for what you've done.
I live your life because I want to be in
Well, I didn't know any of that.
because of you.
Guess you could say I'm up in me.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, Gracie.
I did not.